time?
Yeah.
Depends on whose watch you're on. I got 9:03.
Yeah.
You're late.
You're not
Okay,
15
it
minutes
is
early, you're
Tuesday,
late.
January 7th, 2020. We'll call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, minutes and reports received and filed.
I have December 2019 Treasurer's Reconciliation Report filed and December 2019 Clerk and Recorder fees filed.
Okay. Commissioner Committee liaison reports, upcoming meetings and events.
I'm a little behind today because I had some invite saying the meeting was moved till 10 o'clock this morning. I won't mention who did that.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I wasn't gonna bring that up, but I had to. Thank you, Sheriff.
Sorry.
All right.
Still
we
trying to
got-
figure this thing out.
We got a Home Builders Association Board meeting this afternoon. Got a Solid Waste Management District Board meeting tomorrow afternoon. Home Builders Association General Membership meeting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, and I am sponsoring it, so come and have dinner on me, maybe a beer if you want to, or a drink. Cook County Extension meeting Thursday evening, Cook County Chiefs. Got Chiefs meeting, Bill, Thursday?
No, it will be their annual.
That'd be
meeting,
next-
17th.
January 17th.
17th.
Yeah, so no
Okay.
meeting this week, but they'll have their annual dinner the 17th, so did you get invites for that then, I guess? Okay. We got radio Friday, and I got your email.
Yeah, I'm supposed to let him
Guess
know.
it's my turn to get beat up.
Okay, I will tell him.
I plan on doing it. That's about it.
Do you have a theme song?
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't.
No.
We had a call yesterday with Decision Innovation Solutions on the MASBTA grant. Still kind of working through some of that survey stuff. It'll be interesting to see whether we get good results out of that or not. Not optimistic. Also had a pre-trial meeting yesterday, 11:30. We got a meeting today on economic development possibility regionally. Supposed to have a SLUIP board meeting on Wednesday, 11:30. And are we having communities Thursday, did you say?
No.
Okay,
canceled that, yeah.
that's all I got.
Okay. I don't have anything till Thursday. I had traffic and safety at 8 a.m., but it got canceled because we didn't have anything. So the governor's prayer breakfast is Thursday as well. And then Friday, I guess, do we have the Renegades too?
Oh, yeah.
Before, yeah.
Everybody's coffee.
And then Monday, the city county kicks off the census. We've got a census meeting at 9 a.m. at City Hall, so anybody wants to come be a part of it, press wants to come cover it, it's, and that's all I've got.
So I saw something the other day that census workers get paid like $17 an hour.
17 to 23. Yeah, it's, we don't pay that though, but yeah, that's, they've actually been recruiting some online already. And I know Columbia did a job fair, and I don't know if we need to do that or not, so.
Is that part-time or full-time?
Yeah, no, it's just, Census Day is April 1st, so those people who haven't filled out their census form online or mailed it back in, then census people will go door to door and say, are you still here, and you still got, so, it's just a part-time job. It's important we count everybody, and with the tornado, we don't know where some of the people are, so. Okay. Commission comments, bids and contracts, any unfinished business. New business, accounts payable reviews.
We're not gonna have.
No, okay, we're gonna move, because our IT guy came and begged signing of application for Heartland Services. So, Mr. Bryan, sir?
So this is a company that does repair on our MDTs, our Panasonic Tough Books for both the Sheriff's Department and for EMS. And every once in a while, there are things that come up that are not covered by warranty. So instead of putting those things on a credit card, typically I like to establish terms with companies or vendors if I can. So this is nothing more than that. It's just a credit application. So I'd ask that that be approved and signed.
I'm fine with that. I do that all the time. It's just, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay,
I move that we approve and sign the credit application.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, public hearing for 2020 budget. Do we need a vote to open it up for public?
You just open it.
We will just open it up for public hearing for the budget discussion of the 2020 Cole County budget. Would anybody like to speak?
I would. So, as we discussed in the budget, and as I said previously, that I wouldn't support the budget, and so just want to go over a few things, reasons why I will be voting no against the budget. So, anyway, so as preparing a lot of things, and I do have a slideshow as well, but what I try to do is look at the past to see where we were and where we're going. And so what this shows is the law enforcement fund. So in 2013, when I came onto the commission, the law enforcement fund was not looking good. It was losing money. And when we looked at projections, I know this is hard to see, but we were losing in the year in the year 2020, we were going to lose $1.379 million. That was not good. We had to change. Someone brought us a program called Pretrial Services, and that's what we did. We started a program to write the jail operating costs. Obviously, we all know where that's gone. We've gone from a deficit to a huge surplus, almost $9 million. One of the other things that I looked at, everybody can look at these later. So I looked at what our current operation costs are. So back in 2008, when we started, I believe the Law Enforcement Center opened in 2008, or that's as far as I can go back. But our total operating cost was $4.8 million. 2020, our total operation cost is $9.3 million. We've almost doubled our operating costs in a little over 10 years. That's not sustainable, but the only reason that we were able to double it was because of our federal inmates.
What was it in 10, Chris? The operating cost in 10 when we opened up? 11. Because that's gonna make a lot of difference on, because we increased the number of,
$6.4
jailers.
million
so,
in 2011.
okay.
So we've still added $3 million in operations. Anyway, I got a short slide presentation and then I'll be done. All right, so this is just a phrase that I've been hearing a lot lately, and I believe this is you know, when I became commissioner, I felt like, you know, I want to be truthful, I want to be honest, I want to do the right thing for the right reason. So that's where I started. on here.
Slide.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, takes a minute.
Anyway, so this is a look at what our expenses have been since we started the program. Great. Anyway, so when we started the program in 2013, our expenses were about $15,000. Today, they're around $228,000. Obviously, our expenses have grown. All these funds have come out of general revenue. So general revenue has funded the program entirely. All the expenses have come out of general revenue. All the revenue has went into the law enforcement. So in 2013, our jail was at capacity. We were housing prisoners in other counties for $40 to $45 a day. Expenses were high, revenues were low. We had to keep staffing at a minimum. We talked about this a lot. We had to keep the number of employees down. So obviously we brought this, the marshals and the judges brought this program, pretrial program to us, and we thought, hey, this would be a great program, you know, we ought to give this a shot. Expense was very low at the time, and we could backfill with federal inmates for $75 a day. We were confident that this program could work. All right, so in the beginning, you know, we had very few numbers, you know, it started to climb. We started, you know, with few, it went to 50, 70, 80, more than 100. Now we got almost 150 people in the program. We have a great group of people that go to our pretrial meetings, including our judges, police department, sheriff, probation, parole, prosecutor, public defender, pathways, corrections, and more. We have a great group working on this to keep this program going. It's important that we do keep this program going. We hired some of the best people that have spent their entire careers to run the program. And I feel like if we hadn't done that, that this program would not be successful. So we have come so far and generated so much revenue, we cannot afford to go backwards. So I'm not the most techie person, so anyway. Our expenses have grown from $15,000 in 2013 to over $228,000 in 2019. Again, all paid by general revenue. Program has continued beyond 145 or 150 persons being supervised. So we got an email the other day, and we were told in the pretrial meeting yesterday, the current staff that is doing pretrial cannot continue to supervise 150 people. They're trying to write reports, they're trying to do other things. They've reached their limit, and they're wanting to cut back to 100 people on the program. That's 50 reduction, hopefully on the back end, but that'll limit how many people will be able to come in on the front end. So we must find a way to add staffing and funds for this program. Why? It's a pretty simple why. Where are we going to find $1.6 million in revenue yearly and growing? Where have we gotten $7.335 million since 2013? Find me any other program in the county that's been able to generate that kind of revenue from fees, anything else, but this program has. And yet, general revenue continues to pay the salaries and the costs of the people in charge of the program. And there is a way. There is a way to pay for the additional staff. There is a way to grow the program. The funding from the federal prisoners needs to go into general revenue. Pay the cost for the program and then transfer the remaining funds. It's not in statute, it's not anywhere that money goes straight into the law enforcement fund. That's where it was in the beginning. Obviously, it was done that way because law enforcement fund was struggling. This program has to be funded. It needs to be funded from the revenue. Just a little statistic here, the reduction of 10 federal inmates will reduce revenue by $275,000 or $27,500 per person per year. One federal inmate equals 0.68 jail staff. So I'll just summarize here, but pretrial has reduced county jail population since it was started in 2013. Cost to general revenue is $228,000. By reducing county jail populations, we have been able to house federal inmates with revenue in 2019 of $1.6 million. In total, we have generated over $7.3 million housing federal prisoners since 2013. Again, general revenue should receipt the money from housing federal inmates, pay for pretrial services, and then distribute any remaining funds. Limiting the amount of people eligible for pretrial because of staffing will cause a rise in county population. Increase ROR and bond releases, which creates more problems for law enforcement in our community. Just in closing, the citizens of Cole County deserve and expect a responsible government. Let's do the right thing. That's all I got.
So on the numbers and stuff, I was just gonna, I know you put some time into putting these numbers together, but each inmate does not amount to that much. It might be gross, but when you figure out that we actually still have to take care of them, feed them, we gotta transport them, take care of their medical needs. If they're, what do you call it, 96, or if they have to go up there, you still gotta do stuff with them. So it's not all profit. I don't disagree with you. I think it's saving us a lot of money. We consider it all day, and I'm sure we've got, 20 people on here, we'll have 20 different numbers that we would come up with as to being what it is. I think there's some other solutions we need to look at too, as far as getting the court system moving. I think that's where a lot of the hiccups are. I have talked to Donnie, and when we were talking in budget, him, along with probably everybody else in here, did not get everything they wanted in the budget. And I think we made some pretty good compromises. I mean, I've never been happy with the final budget or everything in the final budget, but I've always voted for it, because I feel like we made some kind of concessions. Everybody gave a little bit. Donnie really argued for his guys. He got some extra people. If I'm not mistaken, we got the administrative assistant up to 29 hours, and then we also increased the admin assistant, right, Debbie? Is that where we ended up with that? So, I thought we increased the, well, we had some part-time, or we increased the salary just for that, up to 29 hours.
Just for this temporary.
And then we also increased one from 20 to 29, and then increased the administrative assistant to take care of one being gone, right? So we did increase some of it there. They did get some out of it. I know he wanted to increase some salaries as well, but I think everybody came to us wanting to increase somebody's salary, and they didn't all get it.
No, I think it serves a good purpose, and I've met with Donnie a couple times as well, and I'm gonna meet with Judge Joyce and Donnie, and so, you know, we're actually kind of leaders of the state in pretrial release, so I don't want to fall backwards. So I think we really do need to see what we can do to maintain the program, and still be the leaders of the state of Missouri. So, I think, you know, right now, a lot of it with Richard, you know, going off on medical, it's gonna kind of slow things down, but I think it is something we need to look at. I think, you know, when I got that, and, you know, going from 150 back to 100, and you're losing, you know, a third of what we're taking care of, that bothered me, and that's why I called Donnie. So, I think it is gonna be something we'll look at.
Well, that's what we're talking about. We're talking
Yeah.
about the budget for 2020.
Yeah,
I mean, so, you know, we gave some adjustments in the salary, we added some new people, you know, we made a lot of different adjustments, but yet the one program that generates a ton of money, and we don't have a whole lot of programs around here that generate money, the one program we didn't give nothing to. I mean, you know, we went from 19, where we got $50,000 being reimbursed, we went from 50 to 0. I mean, there's 50 grand that was taken out of the budget and used for other things, and yet now we're getting 0. I mean, I'd love to have a
I don't
program
think it went to
that
zero.
I would fund and,
Well,
or that you would fund and I'd get all the money.
I don't think it went to 0, though. I think we're still
Yeah,
getting
it
stuff
went to
from
0.
the law enforcement, want to pay for some computer programming.
Well, we're gonna pay $30,000 for the computer program for that. It's the one-time payment I don't have a problem with, but if we're gonna be realistic about the 2020 budget, Chris, we also need to talk about that when we started out this budget, I lost the revenue from Department of Mental Health, $325,000. So there's $325,000 in revenue I've lost before we even started the budget. We have to pay an extra $100,000 to 911 because EMS doesn't want to pay that. And then we increased $53,000 for insurance, which is a good thing because it helps me entice and keep people. So just starting out, I was already in the hole by starting out. I have to do stuff for operational funds for my, as I spoke with there, we have to do stuff for the operational use in the funds that we have available to do our operations. I showed you the transports where we had to have people. I showed you that I wanted 4 road deputies, and we can't do that. We're going with 2. I understand the importance of PTS. Believe me, I don't want to lose the program. I think it's great. But you have to understand that, and you're exactly right, Chris, with the way it's set up right now, the 1.4 million, that's what we came in last year, the 1.4 million that we're getting is already spent. As soon as the budget starts, that 1.4 million from federal prisoners is already spent because it's part of my actual budget. I don't have it sitting in a hole someplace. So, and then to control the jail population, I agree PTS does really good, but it's a collaborative effort by many people. I mean, if we're gonna say we need to pay the individuals that's involved in, to where I can put federal prisoners to offset costs, I'm not making money, but we can offset costs, then I need to pay for JAC because they're stopping young kids before they get to my facility. I need to pay for the prosecuting attorney because they have a program to where they can defer people instead of coming into my facility. We need to pay JCPD more because they're actually running programs and sending information to Richard Lee. And we haven't talked about my staff, which is taking care of these prisoners and feeding and cleaning fecal matter off the walls. You're not taking into that consideration. There's a whole lot more to this in controlling jail population than one entity. It's not a silver bullet. I'm with you 100% on the PTS program. I'll support it any way I can, but I cannot give operational costs, operational monies, whenever I have to operate my facility. And you taking the 1.5, 1.4 million out and then spending the 300,000 beforehand, that means starting next year, I got to cut $300,000 from my budget, and the only way to do that is people. So where do you want me to take it from? Do you want me to take people off the road, or do you want me to take people out of the jail? Because that's what's going to happen whenever you talk about taking the money out of my revenue and putting it in that area. That's what's going to happen. That's $300,000 I've got to cover for in expenditures, and the only way I can do that is personnel.
So my point to the slide, if county population grows by 10 and you lose 10 federal prisoners, you've lost $300,000.
I agree with you. This is not an easy solution, but I don't think that spending law enforcement sales tax money on a court program and spending money on a program that I have absolutely no, no oversight. I have no oversight on who they let out. I have no control whatsoever. So for me to spend law enforcement sales tax money on that, and then to turn around and say that's a great program, and it is, but also for the citizens of Cole County, the program for the Taos Wardsville position, that's a great program. And we're making Taos Wardsville pay for that. If we're going to do this, then why don't we pay for that Taos Wardsville position too? And let's add a Russellville, St. Martin's position, because they deserve one too. That would help the citizens of Cole County out too. There's lots of things we can look at that's going to help us out. But the main thing to remember is the Sheriff's Department's never going to make money. The only thing that the federal money did was it offset costs so we don't have to go to GR. You brought up a good point, Chris, about the federal prisoners, which was in place before the PTS program was. But if we didn't have the federal prisoners, then the money that we would need, let's say 1.5 versus 1.5, that money's got to come from somewhere, and it's going to come from GR. So,
Can't.
I'm just saying, Chris, it's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it's not possible. It couldn't come from the GR in 2013 because we didn't have it. We still don't have it today. We won't have it in the future. I mean, if that money goes away, you got to cut.
and I'm with you. I'm with you on that. That's why we need to work together to keep this program going, versus just turn around and say we're going to take the money away from the Sheriff's Department.
Well, but I mean, so your operating costs will not go down if you lose every federal prisoner over there.
That's
It'll be
true.
exactly the same.
That's true.
And so you decrease all your revenue, and where are you going to come up with that money? I mean, it's not there. I mean, GR can't give you another $1.5 million.
No, sir. And that's why we need to keep the program going. I
Yeah,
agree
but
with you.
if our program, I mean, we're at 150, they're maxed out, and so, I mean, if county population continues to grow, you have no other choice but to send federal prisoners back.
And if that's what we got to do, that's what we got to do. But the main thing you have to remember is, I am not sitting back putting 20 small bundles of money down in the jail someplace. The money that we have there also, remember, is to build out the facility that we have for the lower level of the jail.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, that's what it's there for. You can choose not to use it for that. I'm going to say that's what the citizens wanted, and that's what I'm going to push for. But if that's what that money's for, if we use up that $9 million, then what are we going to use when we need to build that out? We got to go back to the citizens. So why don't we work
You
together?
will. You will.
why
You'll
don't
have
we-
to go back to the
Why
citizens
don't we
because,
work together, Chris? Why don't we get the plan together, get Architects Alliance in there, figure out how much money it's going to cost to build that. So that way, at least we know how much money we need to keep in our contingency to make sure we can build that out. I've been saying that for the past 2 years.
even if we build it out, even if we take all the money and we build it out, and you add another 150 beds in there, your operational costs will grow by probably $2 million. Where are you going to fund that? I mean, you're gonna have to have a certain amount of staff to fund that.
That's true.
I mean, so there's no way. I mean, we can build it. I mean, we got the money to build it. We could build it right now.
And I'm not saying we build it. I'm saying we need to know how much money it's gonna cost to build it before we dump the $9 million in contingency funds I have.
But I mean, so the problem, the reason why the state's getting rid of some of their prisons is because they can't afford to operate them. I mean, they can't afford to build them, they can't afford to operate them. Same way with counties. We can't afford to operate the jail, which is why we have these programs.
Well, what the state's doing is they're pushing the prisoners down to the county level.
I get that.
That's what pretrial release is. It's the courts, probation and parole. That's what they're operating out of. It's a court program. And law enforcement sales tax money should not be used for that. Now, you say I've got $9 million sitting in there to be able to utilize for that. How much is the county sitting on in reserves? $40 million?
Yeah.
So we can sit, I agree, let's sit and talk about this, I'm with that. But to make a blatant statement that we take another 300, because you're already taking 300,000 from me, so take another 300,000 to make this program work, I disagree wholeheartedly.
I mean, so first of all, this money is not law enforcement sales tax money. It's federal inmate money for housing federal prisoners. It's not law enforcement money. Second of all county funds are county funds. They're not dedicated funds. They're not sheriff's funds. They're not assessment funds. They're not other funds. They may be able to be dedicated for certain types of services, but it's our job to make sure that we spend all county dollars appropriately.
And I respectfully disagree, because I think that there are some, the law enforcement sales tax is covered by our SMO statute. You need to really think about that before you start spending money out of that without looking at it more. Plus, you have to discertain on which funds is which. That's like going to Casey's and getting $10 of gas and going to MFA and getting $10 of gas and saying, we're only gonna use the MFA gas first. Once it's in my revenue line, then there's no way to differentiate what money that we spent for what item that we have in our line items. There's no way to differentiate that. I understand what you're saying. If you want to take the $1.4 million out of my budget, and then you determine what to do with that money, that's fine. If that's what you decide to do. Just remember the consequences of that, because that means I'm going to lose $300,000 a year. And the only way to do that is to get rid of people. And if we could have had this conversation before this, then we wouldn't have had to discuss this in an open forum like this, Chris. But, I mean, that's what it comes down to. If you're gonna take $300,000 a year from me to pay for PTS, then I gotta get rid of people.
I think we need to have some conversation.
I agree.
Talking with Donnie I think we need to have some serious meetings with the courts and with that and with you. And we need to try to come up with some kind of creative way to keep it going, because I think it's a heck of a program. And I think we need to keep it, we need to keep adding to it. If it's more people, I want to do that, but I think we need to, I'm not prepared to just say, hey, I'm gonna take money away from you to pay for this. That's not fair. But we need to somehow work out some way where we can do it, because it does take people that would otherwise be sitting in a cell over there and puts them out where they can work,
Sure.
They can take care of their family. So, but I
And
think
we've made-
this is going to take, it's
And we've made
not
huge
going to be
strides.
easy.
We've
It's-
made huge strides. At the criminal justice meeting we have, there's been a lot of good things that's come out of that. I think that we've done a lot of good things. We just need to keep working towards the end and not try to solve everything in one day.
Yeah, that's,
Well, I don't know, I'm gonna go down the middle of the road here, and that's how you get run over, but, in defense of the pretrial release, they're saving us some money. So the federal money coming in, Should or shouldn't some of that be used to help fund that? The Fed money, though, is one-time money, so that's why I'm afraid of
It's
putting that
ongoing-
money
it's
into.
ongoing revenue.
Well, as long as you are promised to have Fed prisoners, and that could end tomorrow. I mean, that's not promised, so.
Well, that's.
That's where we gotta be careful with if we say, okay, we're gonna fund this till whenever. I mean, we talk about the sheriff's budget increasing by that amount over 7, 8 years. Look where pretrial's budget has gone. And, you know, they had 50 people to start with, maybe 2 people doing it. Now they got 4 or 5 people helping with it. So you'd think they'd be able to handle 250, right? But now they're saying they're down, having to go to 100. So there's a lot of questions to it. I think there's a lot of solutions and, that we can try to come up with. And one of them's trying to just get it moved through the dang court system, because that's where things get hung up so long, and a lot of these people are in this pretrial release program are sitting in jail because their cases are waiting to be tried for whatever reasons. So, I don't think it's just our problem. I think there's other things that the state can maybe look at too. But I think there's other problems.
So the one area that we struggled with giving raises this year was general revenue. We were very tight with general revenue. And, you know, there's $228,000 right there that's coming out of general revenue that would have helped. I mean, obviously we could afford it this year, next year maybe not. I mean, but so when general revenue can't afford to give raises, nobody's getting a raise. So, I mean, you can say whatever you want. You know, yeah, we may be sitting on $40 million, but those are operating costs. I mean, general revenue is the one that is hurting the most out of all the funds. So, you know, whether it's Public Works, EMS, Sheriff, whoever else, but everybody that's funded out of GR, those will be lean times in years to come. So, ever since I've been here, we've been able to give raises every year. You know, every year we've been able to increase county salaries. So anyway, I believe that'll be a struggle next year.
And one thing we talked about today is that, you know, Donnie came in and met with me as well, still wanting to fight for the raises. So we still have probably 300 other people across the county that would like some salary adjustments as well. And some of them were fought for more during budget time. But we couldn't just take care of these guys and not take care of everybody else. The other thing I told him was I'd like to see some additional revenue coming from the pretrial release program. And some of these people are gonna be able to be out, be with their families, keep their job and stuff. I hate to call it a pay to play, but that's, you're out and you're able to play. So it's gotta be worth a little bit. I know it can't be a substantial amount, a lot of them don't have money anyway to take care of things, but you're able to keep your job and spend time with your family, keep that together, should be worth something, so.
Anything else?
So,
No.
Okay. Does anybody else want to speak on the 2020 budget? Okay. Then we will close the public hearing. Any other, no further questions, okay. Debbie gave me 4 MOUs that she said we really need to approve before, because it's part of the budget, so.
oh, yep. These the 4.
Yeah, those are the 4.
Move that we sign the MOU with the Recorder of Deeds for funding 2 part-time employees.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Move that we sign the MOU with Prosecuting Attorney Delinquent Tax Fund or Administrative Handling Cost Fund for the purpose of funding 1 full-time employee.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Move that we sign the MOU with Sheriff Revolving Fund for the purpose of funding 1 full-time and full-time employee and partial salary and benefits for another full-time employee in the sheriff's office for assignment to processing concealed carry permits.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Move that we sign the MOU with CenturyLink to provide increased high-speed internet services for the circuit court.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we got that. Do we need to approve the court order first and then adopt?
Did you close the hearing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Close it? Yes.
Yes.
Court order.
Okay.
This is court order number 1.
It's the budget court order for
Oh.
the year 2020. Basically approves the budget for 2020.
I have to read this whole thing.
No.
No, that's what I asked her too. She's,
I move that we approve and sign the court order. Whereas the Cole County Commission is advised that the budget for the year 2020 has been prepared and adopted and made available for public inspection in accordance with county budget law, and that a public hearing was held on the 7th of January 2020.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, we probably all have to sign it.
Yeah. You want me to read this before we call for the question?
We can.
Okay. Elected officials and department heads. The commission has finalized the 2020 budget. This is a financial plan for Cole County for 2020. All projections for both revenue and expenses were made using generally accepted forecasting methods. At best, growth will be modest with no increase in sales tax revenue. The final revenue and expense numbers for 2019 show a change in both revenues and expenses, which influences our budget decisions for 2020. The budget for 2020 reflects a sound operating plan for the County of Cole and sound financial planning for our future. The Commission continues to believe that a fair and competitive compensation benefit plan is critical to retaining the employees of Cole County. The County Commission also considers it important to continue covering the entire health insurance premiums and are continuing to fund the 4% contribution for the county retirement program for the 2020 year. The Commission will also be approving a 3% COLA, some salary adjustments, and one step for EMS employees. The Commission are recommending employee evaluation should be performed on all county employees. The Commission would also like to ask each department to be conservative with your spending and to look for potential ways to increase fees or find other revenue sources in order to help increase salaries in future years. Cole County government must be conscientious in preserving our good financial standing while also providing the necessary services for our residents. This budget achieves both goals for 2020 and ensures that we can continue with these goals for the future. In close, please find a copy of the budget for the year 2020, and I gave that to Lynn. So,
That'll wear you out.
huh?
Did that work?
Yeah, that's, yeah.
So then, I guess we gotta vote to approve the final budget.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the final 2020 budget.
I will second. Want to do a roll call?
Sam,
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Chris.
No.
Okay. Budget's adopted. Approval and signing of financial assistance write-off authority and collections policy.
You gotta sign that letter.
Oh. I gotta sign all of it.
Is this all what we talked about, Jill? I didn't really have a
I didn't see the one there. Matt emailed something about a correction you had on 1010 or something.
Oh, it was a typo, Jeff.
Okay, so that's the only change there was?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I saw his reply or your reply, and I didn't get to ask for what it was. So,
I'm fine.
yeah, I'm fine with them too. I know we could still go back and make changes to these.
Financial hardship and collections were kind of what we discussed, right? And then the write-off authority was the bigger one. There's really no place on these to sign them either.
You know, if we sign them, we just approve them. Vote to approve them, because they're, policy.
I move that we approve the write-off authority, collections, and financial hardship policy for EMS.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have anything else?
I don't.
Did we need to do anything with this 2020 stuff?
No, just,
200?
I was just
Just
showing you,
informational?
that's just informational.
All right.
Just wanted to let you see.
All right, appreciate it.
Okay. I received one letter from Conservation Department. Total tax payments in 2018, I don't know what happened in 2019, but it was $6,952.04. And they got CART in there, Rural Volunteer Fire Department Assistance. They assist Polk County Fire Protection Districts, Osage Fire Protection District, Regional West, Russellville, Loman. There's just kind of an informational letter as to what the Department of Conservation.
I did pass that along to Eric.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a copy on my desk too, just read through it, all the informational thing on it.
Yeah. Anything else?
Do you want to say something about that?
Oh, yeah, the Jeff City Cosmopolitan Club has their annual Pancake Day on Wednesday, January 15th, 2020 at Sellinger Center. So, you know, the Cosmopolitans have been great supporters of our health department. And so, go enjoy. I think our ham and bean dinner is the week after that. It's always,
That's Wednesday?
no, ours will be in
No,
February.
that's
Yeah, this is Wednesday, January 15th.
next Wednesday, correct?
Next Wednesday, yeah.
Okay.
So, go eat pancakes.
And then, the following, that Sunday, St. Thomas got breakfast too, so.
Oh, your country ham?
So,
No, that's in March.
Oh,
This is
everybody
the
else
night
that's
before.
on the same diet as me is gonna be kinda shafted there. I was gonna try to lose 10 pounds. I'm 15 pounds away from it now, so we're good to go. You almost made it through the day without that one.
anything else?
Did you wanna introduce anybody or?
Oh, yeah. Want to introduce Sierra?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
Sierra
yes.
Thomas started, December 1st actually, so she's the replacement. So we're getting her
January
on,
1st.
So anyway, it's been pretty busy so far.
I think she should stand up and speak.
Our email's already set, Polk County, scthomas@polkcounty.org, so I'm gonna start to move a lot of stuff over her way now, so and her cell phone for sure. As the days come along, so thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
welcome.
Welcome to the family. As dysfunctional as we may be, we still love each other, right, guys?
That's right.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
And then everybody could get their pay forms back by the end of the week, or at least the first part of next week. Yes. You won't have to worry.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
Wow.
John taught me well.
Anything else? I move we recess till 4:30 PM.
Would it be okay when you're
Well-
back?
All in favor?
Aye.
And give
Jeff, are you
Kristen a
making